good soup.
Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5, The Bells.
Just go.
Just
Yeah, do the thing you do.
A little,
Yeah. I think we should attack this a little differently. I think we should just give our overall thoughts. Then we can go back and talk about some of the scenes in chronological order. But there's just a lot to say right now.
Well, yeah.
I can't just sit on this.
Well, go ahead. Just give us your overall thoughts.
It's weird because there's so much good in this episode, but so much that I don't like. I think conceptually it was great, but the way they got there, it kind of just puts a damper on everything. And the whole time when I was watching this episode, and I was getting invested, I'm like, this is the way they got to this point, though, I did not like. If you would have told me before this episode aired that Daenerys would destroy King's Landing and Jaime and Cersei would die that way, I would kind of have been on board. But the way it got there, it just didn't fit. And it just didn't, like, I'm still trying to think. I don't know.
There are so many things to talk about with this episode. There are so many character arcs that come to an end. But I think overall, just for the decision that they made for Daenerys Targaryen in this episode, for her to go Mad Queen, something that has been theorized about, speculated about for years now. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can make the case that this is the darkest episode of Game of Thrones ever. I mean, I was obviously disturbed by what I was watching unfold on screen, but in the back of my mind, I kept thinking about the writers and how this doesn't feel earned, that it felt very rushed. It was a very abrupt character turn for Daenerys Targaryen, and it was horrifying to watch unfold. I mean, this was just an absolute massacre, and we're seeing it. A lot of it was from the perspective of the people on the ground. This should have been a heartbreaking moment for me for the character of Daenerys Targaryen. This should have been a heartbreaking turn to the dark side, but instead, I was more frustrated by the writers. I was more disturbed by their decision-making rather than Daenerys's. And I think this is one of my least favorite episodes of the series because this was such a dramatic turn for this character, and there just wasn't enough development to get to this moment of Daenerys becoming the Mad Queen.
I don't mind her going Mad Queen, and there are things that you can point to, but if it just happened differently where it was a massacre. Like there was no point.
No, this was a genocide.
No point in that battle where they were going to lose. Not even what she was doing to King's Landing, but just the battle itself.
Yes.
There was no point where she ever was going to lose. I felt like if it was kind of an even battle, like we kind of thought it would be, and she realized that she was going to lose maybe, and then she did it, I felt like that could have been more in tune with her character. But this was just an absolute massacre. And I kind of liked it too because we always talked about the dragons and how much of an advantage that is. And I loved how Drogon was
when he first came in, he was moving this episode.
When he was just, and I liked how she went down. Like the scorpions are very clumsy things to handle. She went down, they went down, she went up, and they couldn't get it. I love that aspect. Yeah. There's so much I liked about this episode. Beautifully shot. Everything's like if you take away like what actually happened as far as the build up and what decisions characters made, the battle itself and everything like that was absolutely wonderful just to watch. It was an absolute spectacle, and I just
well, it's not even a battle.
No, yeah.
Those first like 15 minutes were a battle,
but the reason why. The thing I liked...
but you want to see Aegon the Conqueror.
Yeah,
you want to see... Because the story about him was he had like 3,000 soldiers. He took the Seven Kingdoms by using the power of a dragon. And we finally saw the full power. We saw it in Spoils of War, but we also got some Dothraki. This was Drogon's game to win.
No, I like that part of it. But the reason why I liked the Night King dying so much and the way he did was that I thought the focus was going to get smaller and more political and have more... Not necessarily just these big battles, but it would end tighter. It would be more smaller, more personal, these character moments, and that didn't happen. And once the bells ring and she just decides to go crazy, I felt like they should have maybe zoned in on on the Red Keep and surrounding it. Maybe Cersei had wildfire surrounding, so it's kind of like a Mexican standoff, Inglourious Basterds type, where you can kill me, but I can also kill you. And that's where it got more smaller when you had Jaime, Arya, and the Hound coming into play, and we got more political and more maneuvering, more character moments because
Pulp Fiction.
To be honest,
Mexican
Cersei, because she's my favorite character, and my biggest thing why I a lot of people didn't like the Night King dying. Why I liked it, because I thought the focus would be on Cersei introducing the real villain, and she had that moment last episode, but
it wasn't.
But it's not enough for this character in this season.
Yeah. Well, I think with personal character moments, let's just go back to the beginning, because there are so many great...
I loved everything going up to the
Yes,
battle.
The beginning of the episode, when you saw Varys writing that note, you got some old school Varys there.
Mm-hmm.
He's scheming, he's maneuvering, he's got his little bird that comes in that says that I'm being watched by her soldiers. So you know that this is going to be the end for Varys.
And I like that he kind of knows it too.
Yeah, he knows it. Especially when he burns the note, when he puts all his rings. That's a little bit later. But this is when he goes to meet with Jon. Jon Snow arrives at Dragonstone, and he makes his play. He goes to the old riddle that when the gods create a Targaryen, they flip a coin, and sometimes it lands on good, sometimes it lands on crazy. And he subtly hints to Jon Snow, I know you're a Targaryen.
Yeah.
And you landed on the good side, heads. So I choose you. But it goes back to Jon telling Sansa that this information, secrets, they spread like wildfire in the world. Varys makes his play, and he ends up losing. And he was right, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess he was right.
I think it's just what I said. It was Varys knowing that he was going to die for this, but he had to do something. So I think you could say, like, oh, it's stupid that he just told Jon right away, and he knew it was going to, like, I feel like he knew what he was doing. And
he was up against the clock, too.
And he says it to his little bird, right?
Yeah.
Greater the risk, greater the reward, something along those lines. So
because Daenerys was planning to attack the city tomorrow. I have one chance at this. Maybe Jon Snow will betray her in some way, take her life. But he even says to Tyrion when they bring him out, when they have him in cuffs, he's arrested, that he hopes that he's wrong, that he hopes that he's dying for the wrong reason, that Daenerys is actually the person that he's always believed in. And we could talk about his motivations. We've talked about it a bunch of times, not really making sense. But I wonder in the books if he's somehow going to wiggle his way into Daenerys' camp and die the same way. But it looks like he's just going to be more of a Blackfire loyalist in the books. But in the show, I'll tell you what, his death was very emotional, because the way that they transformed his character, that they changed his character, that he's just a good man who was looking out for the people, that was an emotional farewell between him and Tyrion. Tyrion grabbing his arm. That's the first time I think anyone's ever embraced Varys as a friend. It's similar to when Jon told Tyrion, I'm sad to see you go in season 1, and Tyrion was kind of stunned. Varys gives Tyrion that look of, wow, this is somebody that actually cared for me, that I'm just not dying for myself.
Did you think the way Tyrion just told her, did you like that, hate it? What was your thoughts on that?
No, I like that.
Yeah.
I think that was because they mentioned that she wasn't eating, that she wasn't seeing anybody, so I guess that's her first time out of her chambers, because she's in the war room. So I guess Tyrion gets wind of that. He goes to approach her, and she looked bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's someone that's not taking care of herself. She looked depressed.
Well, no, I mean, she still looks like Emilia Clarke still looks good, but she looks like she looks.
Well,
just,
if she's waking up like that, but the thing is, she looks so extra nice. Yeah, and that was just her looking. That was her looking good.
Her hair is like out of
out
of whack. Like she's just emotionally distraught.
Yeah,
and I guess we said that after last episode, if she was gonna go Mad Queen, we needed to see some of this, like the toll just. The weight of the world just on her shoulders, and she just doesn't know what to do. Everyone she's loved, Jorah, Rhaegal, Viserion,
and the one she had lost,
Missandei. It's a lot in a short time. I mean, we had a year and a half between seasons, but I mean, Viserion just died not too long ago too.
No,
so it's all just coming down on her, and I get that, but also we'll get to it later about how it's kind of a stretch.
It is a stretch because she's not the first person to lose people.
And I guess like when he says
show.
the Targaryens. You flip a coin, right? So maybe those deaths affect her more than it would, I guess, someone else. It's just certain things just affect her differently than others.
Right. I mean, she's lost people like Jorah, a soldier. She lost Barristan, who was also a soldier. These are people that are part of your Queen's Guard. They're putting their lives at risk. And Missandei, I think, was the most personal death. And obviously, the dragons, she considers them children. But you still have a lot to live for. You still have Jon Snow. You can build a life with him. You have Tyrion, the hand of the Queen, who's essentially the brother that you never had. You have people that still believe in you, people that trust in you.
Grey Worm.
Yes, Grey Worm. And that moment between her and Grey Worm where he gives her Missandei's bracelets, her chains, and he just throws it in the fire. There's still a lot to gain here. Yeah, Varys, the end to a character that I didn't think he would make it this far in the show. But he makes it to the second to last episode, the penultimate of the final season. And Conleth Hill, great Irish actor. One of the best castings when you read the character description of Varys from the books, and it's the Spider-Man, one of the best players in the game. So, And even though you can say that his arc got a little muddy in the middle there, but he was still a great supporting character in the show.
And just the way he died too, Drogon creeping over, that was frightening.
That was a terrifying visual.
Yeah. Imagine that being the last thing you see.
Yeah, the way that he just creeps over Daenerys' shoulder. He's always been scary to me. One of those shots from season 4 in Marine where he flies up when he kills the goats, that shot always fucking gives me the yips. And it's interesting that when Tyrion brings the news to Daenerys that somebody has betrayed Daenerys, she instantly thinks Jon Snow.
Well, she connects dots like no one else.
Yes, yeah.
So Jon didn't tell Sansa. Sansa would have told you. You would have told Varys.
She's a master of telephone.
Yeah.
She was right.
I guess, but
she didn't have to snap like that, but she was kind of right.
It's like Jon didn't, like, if she wants to view Jon as betraying her, he didn't do it with bad intentions. Like, he was just being, I guess, the honorable person that he is, and he had to tell his family. And I guess that creates a chain of events that gets back to Varys and leads Varys to want to support Jon, and that's treason. So she really had no choice but to kill Varys.
It's interesting that she's mad at Tyrion for going to Varys first instead of her. That's a good point.
Well,
you learn about this information, you think that he would have consulted with the queen first.
It's a
bomb.
Yeah, it's a bombshell of a news story to get across the desk. And Varys, like we said, like,
he trusts him.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
He wanted to bounce it off him, and he didn't like what he heard. But, Tyrion, too, I guess he had to tell Daenerys that Varys betrayed him.
Up until the very end, he still believed in her. It's almost as if Varys told him, I'm going to shoot my shot, and if Jon says yes, then you have a place in his small council.
Yeah.
But if not, then I'm dead. And yeah, just the Emilia Clarke has been really one of the highlights of this season. Just her acting, the way that these actors do nonverbal acting on Game of Thrones. We talk about it all the time, but she's been brilliant. And this next scene between her and Grey Worm, we talked about it. It was very emotional. A final farewell to Missandei, talking about her only possession that she brought with her.
I like how you threw it in too.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not her.
Nope.
That's not the person we've known, the person you've known, the person I fell in love with. For both of them, her Grey Worm and Missandei, just to, even though that's her last possession, that's not something you would want to, I guess, remember her by. You would remember her the person that she was, and just like we said it multiple times, just like the really decent, good person that she is. So you threw that in, and it's kind of like moving on, I guess. I mean, you got a battle to fight, but you can tell in that moment the way Daenerys was, her mannerisms too, just how distraught she was, and how much that death impacted her.
There were some great moments in this episode, and I am mixed overall, but this scene between Jon and Daenerys, it's almost the final straw, where it's her confirming something that she almost wants to believe. I don't know if it's necessarily true, but he once again says that Varys came to me and I said, I don't want the throne, and she tries to embrace him. And it's the second time in the season where Jon has denied her. So she makes the case once again that the people love you. I don't have that love over here. All I have is fear. And Tyrion tells her in season 7 that fear is brittle. And when Jon pulls away again, she chooses fear. Mm-hmm. She essentially says, like Cersei did, I choose violence. But I don't think in that moment the audience doesn't necessarily think she's going to snap like that.
Yeah.
But now looking back, that's almost when the decision was made.
Yeah, I saw that as her just... It's something where all these events happened and she doesn't know what to think. She does know that people love Jon in a way that she will never receive, or not yet at least. And I guess having that right in front of you, it's
almost jealousy.
It's kind of confronting your biggest insecurity and fear is manifested in Jon, even though you love him. But that's somebody that will be a threat to your entire character, like who you are. You are Daenerys Stormborn, rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, and the way that he pulls away from her, yeah.
There's Aegon Targaryen, rightful king of the Seven Kingdoms. And he can...
So much of this is solved by a marriage.
Well...
I wonder if he's pulling away because of the aunt thing as well.
I think...
He's not comfortable with it
anymore. He said that
he
loved her, so...
Right, but now it's, I love you like a friend. I love you like a queen.
Love you like an aunt.
Yeah, it was an emotional scene, and then, then we have the scene in the throne room, where Daenerys is telling Grey Worm her plans, telling him to... be ready, be prepared, that you'll know.
You'll know, yeah.
You'll know, and he definitely did know. And Tyrion is insisting once again that if the bells ring, that means that they're going to surrender.
Yeah.
So if the bells ring, he turns to Grey Worm and says, call off your forces, stop the attack, we'll know that we have won. And in this moment, I think she's just trying to humor Tyrion in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll call off the attack. Winks at Grey Worm awkwardly.
What if she just wasn't listening and her mind was somewhere else and she was like, heard parts of it? It's like, oh, bells ring, that's when we burn the city down. Oh, okay, got it. Good plan.
In her head, she was thinking about all the things that people have told her, all her impulses.
Yeah.
Be a dragon. Just shaking her head, thinking of Olenna.
And that's the thing. It's like, there's so many things you can call back on, and you can, like, especially from the books and show, where you can see this, but I just think when we get to that moment, we'll talk about it more.
Well, the intro, the previously on Game of Thrones, was brilliant.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. For all the lines, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew what was gonna happen when I heard that. I mean, Tyrion's begging her, like, when the bells, don't do this.
Yeah.
The thousands, like the children, like the innocents. It's something where kind of trying to go jump to that scene, but in this moment, she says yes, but obviously we see later it doesn't.
No, we definitely saw that. What about Arya and the Hound arriving at the northern camp? That was funny. It's like, I'm Arya Stark. I'm going to kill the queen. First of all, the guard is saying, well, I'm going to have to talk to my captain. He's like, think about it. There will be no siege if she succeeds. And he's like, okay, well, you make a compelling argument here, sir. That was cool. Seeing them together in this episode, everything that they go through, just the Arya and the Hound back together.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And it's, we forgot to mention that Daenerys tells Tyrion about Jaime being captured.
Oh, yeah.
That he tried to break through the lines and then he got caught with his hand. Tyrion goes to free Jaime. It's returning the favor. I do love, I mean, this is so inconsequential to the episode, when he outranks the Unsullied.
I thought of Parks and Rec when they're trying to raise money for Leslie. And Jerry's like, hey, not to pull rank, but you can take your phone call outside. It's like, au contraire. I love it when you pull rank.
That's awesome. I love
people pull rank. I like it. Like, even when the guy tried to go to his captain for Arya and Hounds.
Yeah.
It's like, pull rank a little.
What did you think about this scene between Jaime and Tyrion?
That was sad, man.
It was sad.
It's
their goodbye. How many goodbyes have they had? But this one especially was a gut punch.
When he's like, without you, I would never would have survived. Like,
yeah.
And they hug each other.
I dropped a tear.
There's a couple things from Jaime in this episode. We talked about it when he left Brienne. We kind of thought it was so he can stop what's going to happen with Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess not.
It did play out that way. But we also said that if it goes the other way, that it's not really destroying his arc, as some people put it.
No, the way him dying at the end destroyed his arc, but that didn't destroy his arc, no.
No, but it's always like he's always been Cersei
gray
in the back of his head, and he was always a great character. It was a change of perspective that made us sympathize with him.
Yeah,
but he was still that guy who did all these bad things. So that's not destroying his arc. It's kind of you revert back to who you are.
Yeah, it wasn't a character transformation. It was more of us understanding him as the audience. It was our perception, and
but I like that too. Like when a character reverts back to because that's who he is inside. So him going back to Cersei and trying to save her, it is his sister, it is his lover, the mother of his child,
and
his
it's also
children, and his unborn child.
Yeah, he's an enabler. That's his biggest flaw, is that he's enabled this mad woman who goes out like a complete...
We'll talk about it. So that happens, and I guess Davos smuggles him, or something along those lines, or he was supposed to smuggle them out. I don't know how.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Something happened.
Imagine that was just like totally not related to the Jaime thing. Just smuggle this thing.
Yeah.
Smuggle this barrel of wine. Yeah, then we have the preparation for the battle. The siege. I'm not even sure if you can call that a siege because it's just two armies meeting outside.
I think they were surrounded. They had different areas.
Right. I love the shot of Arya and the Hound walking in the city. The Hound all hooded up.
Yeah.
Yeah, them just looking for trouble.
We had Jaime too in the city.
The moment where they closed the gates kind of reminded me of Hardhome, where they're all just trying to get into the Red Keep.
I kind of thought too, like Arya or the Hound would have noticed like his hand.
Yeah,
and I was ready to be like, "Come on, you just said that you were stupid for doing that." But we show him later, like he tries to use it to be like, "Hey, look, I'm Jaime, I'm Jaime."
You know what's funny is there's so many things that I want to jump around to. I almost would have been more satisfied if Arya killed Jaime in the streets of King's Landing and then used his face to kill Cersei.
No, I would have been disappointed in that.
You're not disappointed in how that ended between them? That's the most disappointing thing for me. If they're still alive, then maybe there's a chance. But he's not killing her, even if they are alive.
I don't hate how like they came into this world together, they came out together. It was a very human moment between them. You feel sympathy for them, especially when Daenerys is burning the city down and they're just lost.
I don't want to feel sympathy for these characters. I felt enough sympathy for them throughout the show. That's been the genius of the up and down.
But I'm just, like in that moment though, like I do
I don't want to feel sympathy for Cersei Lannister. I want to see her go out like a badass and
Yes.
hate her at
No,
the end.
no, I
That's
get
the
that.
ending. That's why I love her so much.
No, I get that too, and I do think her plot was kind of wasted. And I don't hate, like, obviously we had the theory, a lot of people did, Jaime would kill Cersei, and that didn't happen.
Thrown out the window.
Yeah, and I don't hate that it was thrown out the window, but if it was for something, I guess, more, or that made a little bit more into, like, I don't think it didn't make sense, like, in that moment, but it's just, I think everything leading up to that too, like, kind of made me not fully on board with what happening, and I wasn't, like, really invested. Because the thing with Euron and Jaime too was probably my least favorite part of this whole fucking.
Well, that was like the Theon scene of season 8.
I guess
just a goofy battle.
That was
just
like,
thrown in.
He just sees them, and I know that happens all the time in movies and TV where two characters just find their way and meet each other. I get that.
It's another moment where
but it was
Euron,
just we didn't need, like, I don't care about Euron. We don't need to see Euron die. Have him fucking burned to a crisp on the boat.
He should have died off the boat.
Yeah.
That should have just been his death.
I don't need to have this last moment with Jaime. Like, you're not a big enough character to have that with Jaime. He gets the 2 stabs in, and Jaime ends up killing him. But even the things like, oh, I'm the one who killed Jaime Lannister or whatever. I don't know. I didn't like that at all.
I didn't like that at all either. I guess going back to the preparations when Tyrion tells Jon that when the bells ring, call off your men. And Jon's like, we'll see about that. he doesn't even believe Tyrion in this moment.
But, I mean, Daenerys comes in. She destroys the Iron Fleet.
That was awesome.
Decimating, and I was so on board. And she blows open the gates. They burn the Golden Company.
That was surprising.
Yeah.
When they're hearing that boom.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It's very strategic. She's doing what what you're supposed to do. Destroying all the Scorpions, destroying the fleet, opening the gates, decimating the Golden Company, and allowing your men to come through. And I loved everything up until that point. Like,
the logic in this episode, the battle plans make more sense than they have in previous episodes.
I mean, Cersei's kind of were.
Well, she was just hoping for that one good shot.
Yeah.
She thought Daenerys really was going to hold back.
There's part of me likes
but it's interesting because then she baited her with Missandei, so it's almost you made your bed with Daenerys absolutely decimating the Golden Company. Mm-hmm. That you had to have known that she was coming in hot. And maybe she just got cocky with the Scorpions.
Well, no, I think she wanted to have Daenerys come in hot and that cause some inner turmoil. Because she knows who Tyrion is. She probably has an idea of who Jon is, Varys. So I think that was kind of just to destroy them from within. I wish the battle was more competitive, though. Actually,
no, I didn't mind that.
On one hand, I like how we've seen the full might of Drogon and Daenerys in that army. And just having the advantage that a dragon brings in this battle. But on the other hand, the way it played out, where Daenerys just was like, "All right, fuck it, I'm gonna run up the score."
Well, before that,
I think if there was more of a struggle, it would have made more sense for Daenerys to actually do that.
I love the Harry Strickland shot where it was the reverse Jon Snow Battle of the Bastards, where Daenerys gives them this advantage. They all start storming, and the camera pans, and he just decides to run away, and Grey Worm gets the kill.
I mean, Harry Strickland developed for 2 episodes, and we never got a backstory.
No,
he just dies like that.
Yeah, but the beginnings of that, like you said, it's an absolute slaughter. Mm-hmm. They're just running up on them. The way that they're walking in the city too, with that shot of Grey Worm, Jon, and Davos in the front. They're just walking in like we own the place now. Mm-hmm. And
even before that too, the preparations when they're all coming in, Cersei's looking over. There's the shots of everyone closing the shutters, like they're hiding. It kind of just puts a face on what's about to happen.
Yeah, city under siege.
Mm-hmm.
And when it gets to that moment where the Lannister men throw down their swords, and then you all hear people start screaming, "Bells, bells," the way that it's kind of echoing throughout the city. And then it finally makes its way to Cersei, where she's starting to realize that she's going to lose. And Qyburn's trying to talk to her. Cersei is completely delusional in this moment, talking about, we need one good shot. We have the Golden Company. They're decimated. Well, we have the Scorpions. They're all destroyed. We have the Lannister men. They'll fight to the last man. They threw down their swords. It's over for her, and she drops that single tear. And she knows that she's going to lose. And the bells do start ringing, and this is when it happens. Man, I thought when the bells started ringing and they kept showing Daenerys on Drogon, I was so confused about what was going on in her mind. Mm-hmm. Because I thought it was, you feel that anxiety of, are they going to surrender? Are the bells going to ring? If they do ring, then Daenerys won't go Mad Queen. If they don't, then that kind of justifies it, where she's just so frustrated. She just wants to get this over with. They do ring, and she still goes crazy. And I thought that she was going to go to the Red Keep, burn down the Red Keep. Maybe there's a couple of casualties, and it's like, how could you have done this? Dude, she was fucking mowing down innocents. She was murdering.
Systematically, too. Like, when you mow your lawn and you go back and forth? Like, that's what she was doing.
She's making lines. Literally mowing them down.
And
It was like a line at Six Flags, just killing all of them.
a lot of people before, like, after last week, they're like, oh, fuck it, like, burn the city, like, go off, Queen, like, just burn it down.
Yeah,
but like we said, they put a face on it, and just that moment where they won. They won.
Yeah, she won.
She won. The throne is hers, and
It's over.
It's over. And to still do that just doesn't make sense for me.
It doesn't make sense.
If there was more, like,
we said
even
on our
if
last
Missandei died, like, if they waited and they died right before the battle, and that's what caused it. If they were losing and everything that she everything she wanted.
That's what we said last episode.
Yeah.
If it was a more competitive fight and her back was against the wall and she just comes out swinging, that she has to go desperate, that she needs Drogon at his full maximum power, then you almost look at it in hindsight and think
it's still
she just massacred thousands of people.
You can justify it to like you can play back, you can go back and forth
because you're almost fooling the audience. Because at that point you would want Daenerys to win if she's pitted in the corner like that. Then she fights back. Then you realize what actually happened. This was, I said on Twitter, this was her up 20 in the fourth quarter with 10 seconds left, chucking 3-pointers, doing windmills off the fucking backboard. I couldn't believe what I was watching. As it kept going on, I kept saying to myself,
well, I mean,
she's still doing it.
It's like in college, like football, you want to get like the
for the point spread.
No, just for the rankings.
Yeah,
like if you beat a team by more points, it looks better.
Like soccer, yeah.
For the voters,
you
had to go up to 8 people. I don't hate that she's Mad Queen, but there's like we were talking about, like if, like you said, back against the wall, or even if there was a trigger, like Missandei died in that moment or something like that, and that's what triggered her to do all this stuff. I mean, that you can rationalize that, but here it's just there's no need.
Man, I don't think there's been enough development throughout the entire show.
You can point,
it's
you
not
can
even
look back,
season 8.
you can point to, and people, you can go back and you can look at certain aspects from the show and books that you can, I guess, connect. Like, oh, these were signs of her going Mad Queen, and people have pointed these out throughout the years. But it's never been, everything she's done was to either...
They were mistakes, and she acknowledges them.
But it was out of, I guess, there was good intentions to
always.
save people, to protect people, to...
Marissa said it on our spoiler discussion, that they were treated as victories.
Yeah.
This is a...
It's a victory.
It's a victory, I guess, yeah. If you want to play semantics here. Like I said, I don't think there's been enough for it throughout. I can understand she's the child of Westerosi Hitler. So she's always had to live with that Targaryen name that people are going to associate you with the madness, with cruelty and carnage. But it felt like she was, her entire arc was trying to get away from that. Mm-hmm. That, the madness would pull her in, but eventually she would free herself from the grasp of the madness. This was just snap decision, I'm murdering everybody.
And I guess like
it was weird.
A parallel from like another fantasy series would be Anakin, right?
Yeah, I thought Jon Snow was going to be like, you're going down a path I can't follow.
Yeah, the mountain did have the high ground, though. But anyway. But it's like, we've seen characters, and obviously we knew Anakin was Darth Vader, so that kind of takes away from it. But we've seen characters.
Anakin's Darth Vader?
It's like we've seen, it plays out kind of, I guess, similar, like with just one moment where just everything changes, kind of. And there is build up. And
that's one of the criticisms of his arc.
And there are stuff you look back on and like, oh, wait, I can see why he would go to the dark side, but there was still good in him. But then there's just something that happens and it kind of just changes. This is kind of the same way, but I feel like, I don't know. It's just,
so that's where
I think the thing that bothers me most is like they won. The bells are ringing. What Tyrion said happened. The bells are ringing. And I would have liked too if like the bells ring, they surround the Red Keep, like I said, and it's a standoff. Cersei has wildfire. I mean, we've seen the wildfire go off the caches, I guess she still had during the episode.
Well, that could have been Aerys's too.
But it becomes smaller. Like you had this big battle, you did this, and it becomes smaller.
Well, that's another point I want to make.
And it gets more personal, and then
Cersei Lannister's game plan was terrible. They could have given her something better.
It was a beatdown.
Yeah. And I guess the defense for Daenerys' decision to commit genocide, because that's what it was, is sometimes people just snap. Not everybody who snaps is sitting on top of a fire-breathing weapon of mass destruction.
Thanos
snapped, yeah. So it's just the weapon at her disposal just made it so much more than it would have been if she snapped at Tyrion during a discussion and she's like, I'm going to execute you because you've made so many mistakes. Everything just coming to a head in that moment, and it's like a volcano. She just erupted, and everybody was in her way. Because in this moment, we don't get another shot of her close up. It's only her on Drogon after she flies off of... She was doing this for like 20 minutes, dude.
No.
Like the love of your life is down there. Your allies are down there. Grey Worm's down there. She was taking out everybody. That was Ramsay Bolton telling them to shoot the arrows, just mowing down his own troops. Didn't care. Like, she's worse than Ramsay.
Oh.
Did you just see what she did?
Yeah, I know. But...
No, she's full-fledged villain now. I mean, Daenerys is a villain, right? That's the most disturbing thing anybody's ever done on the show.
Yeah, and they had that character with her daughter.
Yeah.
It was kind of like...
Well, that's the other thing.
They put a face on, like, just...
It was disturbing to watch.
Well, it was basically like they just put a face on the King's Landing as a whole on those two characters. Because they showed them multiple times. And that's just like, that's who was being attacked. These innocent people, mother and child, and families. And we've seen it multiple times where families are just watching their loved ones die. And it's not just like she's killing the Lannister soldiers. It's everywhere. Destroying buildings, foundation that's been there for years. And just...
all the history.
killing the city.
The city that your ancestors built.
The city that you want to rule.
Well, when she went to go destroy the castle, I'm like, dude, that's like where you gotta live, right? You just destroyed your own home.
So we'll get a builder.
That's Brand the Builder. She's gonna flip it.
Yeah, it's a lot. And Cersei's like, I don't think she can believe in it either. She's like, I'm not even that. Like, I blew up a sept, and like I targeted certain people to kill. I mean, that one guy who got blasted by the bell, that's like just a casualty. Like, he wrong place, wrong time. But
sorry,
like,
bro.
She had she had a plan. She's like, I wanted to kill these people because they wronged me, and now if I do this, I'll be queen.
This is like the shot that she just had to take.
Yeah, and it's a necessary shot from the position she was. Daenerys very unnecessary, and she's just fucking doing the most.
Cersei was terrified.
Yeah,
we've seen Cersei afraid before in season 5, especially with the sparrows. Yeah, we've seen her show fear, but not like this. Like you said, she couldn't imagine even herself.
And again, I don't hate the concept of her, I guess, seeing everything she's tried to build decimate in front of her eyes, and her going back to Jaime and them having that moment, just everything, just the way it happened, just how Daenerys just they gave up, and it's
all right. So this is
you can't just look at it like.
This is a George thing, though. This definitely is a George thing.
I think so.
Yes. So I'm hoping in Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring that it's
in
more
the book,
developed.
You get more, obviously more development. You get Daenerys chapters point of views where you see her inner thoughts. Like, we don't get to see what she's thinking. We only can just see by her facial expressions and what she says out loud.
It's rush, man. It's a rush season. I think that's we said it too, that season 7 even, that they needed more episodes. And now we're hearing about that they felt that they could tell the story in the necessary 73 hours. I think they were wrong. And we keep saying, well, we have to wait until the season ends. At this point, we're so close to the finale.
Well, it's either...
And I obviously do have to sit with this episode, but right now my thoughts are, it's a lot to process. I don't know if I want to say that they just assassinated the character of Daenerys Targaryen by rushing into this.
Well, it's not... I don't think...
Because it seems inevitable based on the fact that it happened, that it's going to happen in the books, so it's not their decision.
It's rushed in the fact that it happened this late.
Yeah.
But you have to point to seasons 1 through 7 of them just not setting this up. So it's not rushed in the perspective that this season they rushed you. Obviously, it seems like that, but it's...
But how long have they known that this was going to happen?
When they started the pilot. Yeah.
Right. Seriously.
So I think it's more, you got to put the onus on them not having more hints throughout the seasons. There are hints, but at the core, it was always what she was doing was right to protect the innocent. And this just turns that on its head.
Well, Jon Snow walking through the streets of King's Landing, telling his men not to fight. Then he has no choice but to fight because the Lannister men are just terrified at this point. So what do? You have your swords, you pick them back up, and Grey Worm was into it as soon as Daenerys started burning people down.
Yeah.
He threw that spear and he said, let's get these dudes.
Well, I think he had no choice. Once he goes, he goes.
Yeah, seriously. He's just a soldier. He's a soldier that takes orders. But Jon Snow, we were talking about, there's going to be a moment where he...
Well, and Grey Worm does have... He has some skin in the game, too, after what she did to Missandei.
Right, and Grey Worm is obviously no stranger to battle.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to... It's just that adrenaline flowing. But Jon Snow was somebody who believed in Daenerys. And this should have been... It was a very sad moment to see this character. It's... You just think of all the people that believed in her that are not even alive anymore. People like Jorah Mormont and Barristan Selmy, they all believe that she could be that ruler that truly does change the world. And we talked about this on the spoiler discussion. Breaking the wheel turned out to be...
breaking the fucking city.
She broke the wheel in that she just burned it to the ground.
This is why this episode is just so hard for me to grasp. It's kind of like an enigma, because I loved once it happened, and there's no going back because it is in motion, seeing everyone react to that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Jon, Arya, Davos, they have those looks, just like the chaos that's happening, and these people like realizing like what's going on. Even Cersei's reactions, I loved all of that, but I couldn't get over how it got there.
It should have been more heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been a more heartbreaking moment.
That's why it's hard to just say like, oh, this episode sucked, it was terrible, 0 out of 10, because there's a lot to like. Obviously, all the technical aspects were phenomenal. But
I did love the Clegane Bowl.
Yeah.
I thought them going at it might have been my favorite part of the episode. That one shot where Gregor does have the high ground and Drogon flies behind them. That was a beautiful fucking shot.
Well, even before that, Arya and the Hound.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
Very fatherly. Takes her by the head.
Yeah.
Says, get the fuck out of here. And she thanks him.
Yeah. And
little confirmation there of the admiration, the mutual admiration that they've shared. And I love that too, where he says to you, look at my face, look what I've become. I'm full of vengefulness and spite. You don't want to become this. You don't want to be me. It's one last moment where the Hound is protecting Arya.
I like the Clegane Bowl too, but is it that personal for him? We know like the history they have together, but
no, but it's awesome.
But it's kind of like what you had to say to like what you said to Arya in relation to Cersei. Kind of just take your own advice there.
Yeah,
like he's gonna die anyway. I guess like
she takes him by the neck.
That's the one thing he's always wanted to do, and I get it. So
the fight was cool.
No, it was
the way that he's a zombie. Just can't kill him.
Yeah,
unless you toss him out of a fucking window.
He tried to pull the Oberyn on him too.
Yeah, he did. I thought that he was gonna get his head squished. Qyburn, R.I.P. He got his head fucking.
That was weird too.
That was a quick death.
When they try to
stop Sir Gregor.
Yeah, and like he just sees the Hound. Like it kind of just shows like he has some of his old self in him, which is weird because he doesn't.
No, right.
And even when the Hound and the Mountain see each other in last season, the Hound just says something and Mountain's just standing there.
He's like, Thanos, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. But I kind of like that he knew the Hound. Like he still has that in him. It made the battle more. If he was just a mindless zombie who had no idea what the Hound is, it's a very one-sided affair.
It doesn't make sense, but we both liked it.
Yeah, I think that boils down. Yeah, Qyburn.
Maybe we are apologists.
Fucked up, man.
Yeah. He really was like, Sir Gregor, obey your queen.
You're a big Qyburn guy too.
Oh yeah, no, that hurt.
Yeah,
it hurt him too. Got his fucking skull cracked.
So he's like, all right, I'm out of here.
Cersei really just walked past him. It was the meme of the guy looking, and then he looks away.
Yeah.
Let them handle their business. But them trying to rush Cersei out, the Red Keep collapsing in front of them, that was all terrifying for Cersei. And then she ends up reunited with Jaime. They have that embrace where she says, you're bleeding, you're dying. Yeah, I think this is the most disappointing thing about the episode for me. It's the end to your favorite character, Cersei Lannister, my favorite character, Jaime Lannister. I don't think this was a satisfying end. And I think it was a disappointing arc overall for Cersei in Season 8. We've always made the argument that throughout all the seasons, her arc has only gotten better, for better or worse for that personal character, but it's always interesting. Mm-hmm. It was very uninteresting this season. And the ending was very underwhelming.
Again, I don't mind that they died in each other's arms. Jaime reverting back to that character. Not even reverting, just like being who he always has been. And them being together and just the world crumbling down on them. I guess it's very poetic, I think. It's not even that I expected, like I wanted Jaime to kill her. I thought that would have been better, but it's not, just because that didn't happen doesn't mean I don't like the alternative. But it's just the lead up. The thing with Euron, just Cersei not having anything to do this season and her just getting obliterated right off the bat. And it kind of just...
She got Night King'd.
It culminated into that. I don't think she necessarily got Night King because she's a fully developed actual character who you have some investment with. It's not... The Night King is not that. But it just happened. And she had nothing to do in Season 8. She was in a handful of scenes, barely any dialogue, and nothing really moved her story along.
Just her kind of reacting to things.
It just got to this, yeah. They came to King's Landing, and she kind of just reacted, and that's what happened. I think having that visual of them together and just everything falling, collapsing around them is beautiful, but just the way they set it up and the way it got there, I was not a fan of.
I guess the argument could be made that Cersei Lannister is responsible for her own death. She was tugging on Superman's cape when it comes to Daenerys. She provoked her to destroy the city in a way. But it almost feels like it was out of her control, that Daenerys just lost it, and this was going to happen either way. It was inevitable. So the end for Cersei and Jaime, I don't like it at all. I actually I hate it, especially for Jaime. He's my favorite character. And I don't mind everybody saying that they ruined 10 years of character development by him going back to Cersei. It's just, like we said, he's a great character. He's good and bad. He has his ups and downs, and he sometimes reverts to that old Jaime Lannister from season 1. But I wanted their final moments together to be, like George always says, the hardened conflict with itself. One of those impossible decisions where Jaime Lannister is forced to choose between his honor and his love. Instead, them dying, being crushed by a building, it feels kind of just underwhelming. And Cersei Lannister is a character that we don't see much of in the final season of the show, and she's been one of the leads, one of the main villains. Sometimes she's a protagonist when you get characters like the Sparrows who you hate more than Cersei. So for both of them, an unsatisfying ending to these characters. Arya running through King's Landing while the city collapses was also one of my favorite parts of the episode, because you're seeing it from the ground perspective. And like I said, they don't go back to Daenerys on Drogon. Everything is being either Cersei looking at her in the tower or everybody looking up at her. And I thought Arya, there was a good chance that she was going to die at the very end.
It's kind of like Battle of the Bastards with Jon when he's like getting trampled on, and it's like
nice tracking shot.
No, it's like you think he's gonna die, but like wait, no, he's not gonna die.
Oh yeah, she was being trampled on.
It's like but like it's like can she die? But then you're thinking like no, there's no way they die
not
in this
way.
moment.
Yeah.
So I kind of always knew she was gonna get out of it, but just her perspective of everything going around her, like that's setting up Arya maybe killing Daenerys.
Green eyes.
Yeah, that's something where like her being in that moment and seeing all the chaos, running into that mother and child, and just witnessing this act of pure, just I don't even know what to call it.
I feel like I should be betrayed. I should feel betrayed.
So I want to say pure evil, but I know I don't think Daenerys is pure evil.
No, she is.
But I know it's a pure evil act, but the character.
No, now she has to be. Yeah. I think we're going to see a dramatic change in the finale. Daenerys is actually my second favorite character behind Jaime. I've loved her arc, and I've been a defender of this character. But instead, I feel betrayed by the writers, not necessarily the character. I feel like I should hate Daenerys right now, that I should be rooting for her to die because she betrayed everything that she believed in. But instead, I'm just like, what? I'm confused.
Is there anything that would happen next episode where she's talking to Tyrion or Jon where you can...
I would love to see her like nothing happened. Oh, boy, that was crazy, right?
Like, oh, we got them good. Yeah, we won.
We won, right? Yeah, House Targaryen.
No, but like, is there anything that she can say to Tyrion or Jon to kind of justify her actions in your mind?
Oops.
No, but like I'm saying, like if she like lays it all out, and
there's no way, right? You can't justify
that. I didn't. It would have to be a fucking strong fucking scene.
Yeah. What like?
I'm just saying, like, is there anything that you can imagine that where she says something next episode where you can be like, okay, that made sense for her to do what she did.
And that's what it kind of feels like a waste of a character now.
Because I predicted it, and I think you were aligned with me too, where I said Cersei's going to die this episode, and we'll still have an hour and 20 left. Where what possibly could be the conflict other than Jon versus Daenerys? So I saw this coming, and again, I said it numerous times throughout this review. Just didn't like how it actually happened. If it was more gray, more muddled, like we said, back against the wall, they're losing. Cersei has some tricks up her sleeve. Maybe Drogon took a scorpion or two, and she's just like, I have to do this. It would have made so much more sense, and it would have had the same effect in Jon and Arya's perspective, where that we still get all those scenes, those tracking shots of them going through the burning city, Daenerys going back and forth, but the catalyst for that was Daenerys seeing everything that she tried to obtain disappear.
And just seeing the reaction from Tyrion when she first flies away and he realizes what she's doing. It goes back to that scene in season 6 where he says, I believe in you. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in gods, but I believe that we can change the world together because of you. He must feel just, I mean, I didn't even know how do you even explain how these characters are feeling after this episode. That's why I can't wait to see just their interactions. What's the conversation? And that next time on Game of Thrones, where it looks like the city is covered with ashes, Littlefinger is like, hell yeah. That's what I wanted to do. I always say I never rooted for characters like a Littlefinger or like a Stannis, but I enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm.
And people always say, well, Stannis wanted to do the same thing to King's Landing. Well, Stannis didn't stand up on a soapbox and make declarations about changing the world.
Mm-hmm.
He was very much, this is just my birthright, I'm going to take it.
Well, that's war, right? I mean,
that's war, but Daenerys was trying to do something different. And it's so funny.
When it's one army versus another army, and there's some casualties in the middle, I guess that's just expected, and that happens. But when you have a
yeah, wait a minute. This isn't even war at that
dragon.
point. Yeah, it's not even war. She was just murdering people for nothing.
No, yeah, the war's over when the bell's rang.
Right. It's not war anymore. I don't think Stannis would have done that. Tywin wouldn't have done that. It's insane. It's madness.
I said all these problems, but I kind of just like as I was watching it, I'm like, oh my god. I don't know. I have problems with it. I like it.
It's so funny because we kind of meet in the middle right now. Because as I was watching it, I hated it. I hated it as soon as she started it. Took me out of the episode for the rest of the episode.
It took me out.
But
I got back in, and I kind of look at
But I never enjoyed it while I watched it. I never thought this is awesome.
I think the rewatch and what happens next episode is a lot. Like obviously you want to judge it as a whole, so you still can't. We got to see what happens next week. But like I asked you before, there's nothing in your mind that can kind of remedy Daenerys' motivation. So
well, it's how does she get taken out, and how does Drogon die? Right?
She still has that.
Yes, Drogon's still there. He looked pretty good. Looked healthy.
Has that.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, but
I can't wait to watch this one again. I just want to see. I need to get my brain straightened out. I'm a mess. I don't know what to think.
Season 8 has been nothing if not
interesting.
Yeah. I think that's not necessarily what I wanted it to be. I mean, you always want something to be interesting, but
it's weird because we just talked for so long, but I'm speechless right now.
No, I'm speechless too.
I'm trying to. See you later, guys.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I want to quickly thank our Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve as a channel, so thank you for your generous pledges. If you are interested in supporting our channel through Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/nerdsoup, and you can see the different rewards we offer to our Patreon supporters. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, access to our behind-the-scenes video, and more. Thanks again for watching this video, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Or dislike, don't share, and unsubscribe. It's a binary world, folks.